Hello and welcome to my next video. In this video I will try to predict the prices of 5 different items. I have a background in predictive modeling, but I have not done any forecasting myself. So in this video and the ones that might follow, I will try to improve my ability to forecast. As you can see, I brought a bit of money, because I will do some investing. The plan for the video is quite simple. I will apply different forecasting models on historic item prices to predict what they will be in a week from now. At the end of my video I will check how good my used models really are. To increase the stakes, I will invest in items that are showing to be lucrative, at least in the models. And in a week we will see if the trust in my models was justified. The 5 item prices I will try to predict are for anchovy pizzas, dev runes, limport roots, nature runes and red spider eggs. I picked these items because they were not tied to some kind of price ceiling. The best example for a ceiling would be the high alch value. It isn't lucrative to high alch these items, so they are perfect for the price predictions. I have used 6 different models for the forecasting. The first is the naive model. It is our benchmark model because it assumes that the price will stay the exact same. So if the other models are worse than the naive model, they are most likely useless. The second is the linear regression model. It will use a trend and the seasonal information to forecast future values. I could have used more input data, but this would have made the model far more complex, and for the first episode this would be more than enough. The third used model is the exponential smoothing model. For the rest of the video I will call it the ETS. To sum the model up, more recent data points are more important than later ones. This model can do a lot more, but for this video I also keep it simple. Models 4 and 5 are even more simplistic standard models derived from the ETS. Model 4 is called Holton and the 5 is called SAS. Model 6 is called STLM. It is decomposing the time series into trend, season and remainder and applies the ETS model. It has a specific focus on seasonal information. Now that the models are presented, let's apply them. And the first item we will analyze is the nature rune. What you can see now on the screen are the historic nature rune prices. There is quite some up and down to be seen there. And what I forget to mention is how we will determine which model is more accurate than the others. For that we will split the data in training and test data. Because we are using a time series, the latest data will be our test data. And with some visualizations and an error deviation table we will determine which model to trust. So let's go to the completely unreadable table for someone without a statistic background. As you can see, the table has 12 rows, 2 rows for each model. Every column is filled with a specific type of deviation error. I personally like to look at the mean aggregated percentage error, or in short MAPE. And to determine which model is worth something, we just have to find the minimal MAPE value. And the models with the least error are the ETS and the Holton model. Numbers are nice, but something to look at would be far better. So let's go to the charts. Here we have our benchmark model, aka the naive model. The blue line are the predicted values for the last 7 days. The orange line are the actual values. As a comparison, here's the linear regression model. You can see why the error for this model is bigger. Now look at our best models, the Holton and the ETS model. They look quite similar to the naive model, but they have a slight more accurate trend which lowers the error. Now let's look at our best models, the Holton and the ETS model. They look quite similar to the naive model, but they have a slight more accurate trend which lowers the error. And now let us look at the actual forecast for the next week. For that we use our best models, ETS and Holton. They both show an upwards trend, but I do not trust them, they were so close to the naive model. So I will not buy the nature runes. You will see if I should have trusted these models at the end of the video. Now let us go to the next item, the limport root. In the price series over time you can clearly see the course updates. Now to the model error. The naive model has an error of 1.3 and the only model that can match this is the SAS model. In depiction, the ATS and Holton model look good, and as a comparison to the naive model as a baseline, honestly, the naive model looks even better, but it can't give a good prediction because of its nature. Let's look at the actual prediction for the next 7 days. The SAS model imitates the naive model, so that is not really helpful. Holton and ETS show a clear downward trend. I better keep my hands off that then. If this assumption was right, we will see at the end of the video. Now to the next item, the dev rune. It has a quite volatile behavior over the years, but in the last 3 it's going down. In the completely understandable error table, we can see that the naive model is back at it again. The MAPE error is smaller than 1. And the only model that can compete with that is again the SAS model. In the visualization, the Holton and the ETS model look quite good. Again. But also the STLM model looks fine. But in regards to the SAS model, it really likes to imitate the naive model. So the error table can't be the end all be all. Still, there's the naive model that always does good, even though it doesn't show any change. What are now the actual forecasts showing? The Holton and ETS show a positive course, and even the STLM model suggests an upwards trend. On the other hand, the SAS model is taking instructions from the naive model, as always. And with that, I would say we have our first item. I will buy 1 buy limit worth of items, and hopefully I can truly trust my modeling. Let's go to the next item, the red spider X. And like the Limpwood root, you can clearly see the update, but also a solid downward trend in the current prices, which is not great. In the error table we can even see the naive model with a bad performance, and the only one matching is the SAS model. In the visualization I would honestly trust the ETS model the most. But in the real forecast the Holton, STLM and ETS model show falling prices. Better keep my hands off that. And now to the last item to look at, the anchovy pizza. An interesting item because only recently it increased in price. This increase can be traced back to the rising player numbers. According to the error table, the best models are the SAS and the naive model, closely followed by the Holton and STLM model. The ETS model is also quite close. As you can see, the SAS, Holton and ETS model do the same thing as the naive model. This may result in a lower error, but is not very useful for us. For more interesting is the behavior of the TSLM and the STLM model. They both get the start right, but only diverge later. Okay, in case of the TSLM, general movement is right, not the previous values, but this is still a good indicator. Holton and ETS have a slight upward tendency. TSLM and STLM predict a slight down and later an upward trend. In both cases their connection points are off. But with the suggested trend of the Holton and ETS model, I will go with the anchovy pizza. Let's hope it doesn't crash. 1 week later. Let's look at the result of my forecasting experiment. Here we have a nice graphic of the actual nature and price in pink and all the other forecasts as well. And as you can see, all the forecasts are off. Good thing I didn't trust these. But on the other hand, I wanted to make a forecast that is accurate. And these are clearly not. So I have to improve myself in that regard. Let's get to the next item, the Limpwood root. As before, the actual price development is pink. And the STLM model is the most accurate. But what it didn't show was the positive price development. I could have made some money here. Next item is the red spider egg, and as you can see here we also have a good profit, but I did not buy it. Interestingly, the TSLM model and the STLM model got the behavior somewhat right. I probably have put too much trust in the ETS and Holton model, and so I didn't make any money. Let's go to the death runes, the first item where I put in some money. And the RuneScape market had a clear thing to say to me. No. The predictions were convincing, too bad that they didn't turn out right. And now to the last item, the anchovy pizza. I really didn't expect this. You could say that the TSLM model got something right, but the initial crash wasn't to be found anywhere. So let's calculate the losses. I lost a solid 421k GP, even thought I already bought the pizzas cheaper. Clearly I have to improve the models. That should have been it so far. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and have a nice day.